You're listening to the Why That Work podcast presented by Storybrandai. If you've ever wondered why certain brands, trends, or cultural phenomena find success while others don't, you're in the right place. Every week we unpack why something worked, then give you actionable insights that you can use in your own life. Now let's dive in with your hosts, Donald Miller and Kyle Reed.
Don, there's something I've been thinking about a lot, and it's this word called attention. Mm-hmm. And I think brands are using creative ways to gain attention. Yeah, there's an example of this I saw over the weekend. So, you know this about me. I'm a big fan of golf. I love golf. Mm-hmm. I love watching golf. I love playing golf. Did you happen to watch the PGA Championship this last couple weeks ago?
I did not.
Okay. That's okay. I'll forgive you for that. It was kind of boring anyway. There was a winner of the PGA Championship, the one and only number one golfer in the world, Scottie Scheffler, won that. And I saw an example of a brand getting attention in a very creative way, and that's what I want to talk about today. They used a cultural moment, an in-time moment, to get attention for their brand, and that was Nike. So Nike is the primary sponsor of Scottie Scheffler. They do all of his apparel.
Got it.
I got to tell a little bit of a story before we get into this, because a year ago at the PGA Championship, did you know Scottie Scheffler was arrested?
I did, because I was actually on the phone with the golf correspondent for ESPN.
That's right.
When he got arrested and he had to go.
Yeah, with coaching. He was looking to do some coaching, right?
Well, I was just sort of helping him figure out how to do some other stuff. And he's also a terrific ghostwriter. Yeah. And I had a client who needed a ghostwriter. So we were talking about things like that. And he was like, "Hey man, I actually got to go." And I think he flew down there. It was in South Carolina, maybe? Somewhere. Louisville. Yeah. So he flew down there, and I couldn't talk to him for a couple of days.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember waking up.
But he was arrested for a
big misunderstanding.
Scandalous reason.
Yes, correct. And so that was like the dominant narrative. So fast forward a year, here we are. Scottie Scheffler's back.
Well, we should say he went around a cop who had blocked off
there was the
golf course.
Yeah, there was an accident early that morning. It's a tragic accident. It's pretty standard that the players can go around the traffic. They do that all the time. Part of the misunderstanding was they had brought in, because there was a tragic accident that morning, they brought in other police officers who were not familiar with the golf.
The protocols.
Yeah, so there was a big misunderstanding. He was arrested. You got a mugshot, all the things, right?
Yeah.
Later, his record was expunged and all. Expunged? Expunged, thank you. I knew that wasn't right.
I think.
That's it.
It sounds right. It sounds righter. Sounds righter.
Yeah, righter. Yeah. And so that happened a year ago. There was, this whole thing. So Scottie Scheffler wins this year, and there's a massive opportunity, and Nike seized it. Nike, you'll have to go to our YouTube to see this, or go. We'll share this out here. Nike posted on X. They said the verdict is in. World number one Scottie Scheffler is the PGA champion. The verdict is in. The verdict is in. And immediately
playing off the
arrest, and immediately people caught on to what they were doing. It was in my eyes a perfect example of a brand using
winking
real-time events. That what I love about it too was they didn't just say congrats to Scottie Scheffler. They were creative about it. They a little hat tip to the audience who knows what's going on.
Just a little bit of twinge on it.
Yeah. Contrast that with a brand I was looking at and talking about was Skechers. So do you know that Skechers makes basketball shoes?
I don't think I knew that.
I didn't either up until I saw this post. There's an NBA player. I'm going to butcher his name, so I'm not even going to try. But he had in the playoffs, he plays for the Knicks. He had a massive, big moment where he had a dunk. And the photographer that captured the picture perfectly framed him dunking over the Boston Celtics, and he was wearing Skechers shoes.
There you go.
Right?
Dream moment for Skechers.
Perfect moment for Skechers. Do you know what they did with that?
Skechers?
Yes.
What?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's a problem.
They posted a cheesy, dunk on your competition. It was. I can't even remember.
And from your perspective, what should they have done?
Some of a couple breakdowns I watched, just someone said that he might not have been a Skechers athlete, so they couldn't post his image. That kind of thing.
They were sort of hand tied.
Yeah, but that's where you go, hey, call this guy right now. We need to get that picture license, and we're going to sign him to our team, because that's the kind of athletic performance we strive for. Right. But I think they missed a massive opportunity, because Skechers is not known as a basketball shoe. And there's a perfect opportunity to jump right into that. We were kind of joking before we started.
Well, the other thing is you could even, Skechers is bringing the dunk back.
Yeah.
Because the criticism of the NBA right now is it's all three-point shooting.
That's good.
So it's like Skechers is bringing the dunk. So the cultural
That's
angst.
Really good.
Here's a way to bring attention.
You do this for a living. I can tell.
What is the cultural angst is a question to ask. What are people frustrated about?
Yep.
In the NBA, they're frustrated because Steph Curry has single-handedly changed the entire game.
That's right.
And everybody's shooting from the three-point line, which I think is kind of fun. I think it's kind of exciting. But, people want to see, guys mixing it up in the paint.
That's good.
And you could say, or you could even say something to the effect of Skechers is great if you're walking on paint, or something. Right?
That's good.
Yeah.
There's something
more traction in the paint. Like get back into the paint.
Yes.
Why aren't they in the paint? Because they're not wearing Skechers. You could just go with that.
You did something unique there, though. I think that's something that I picked up that you just did. Is there, just enough about basketball. Just enough about people are frustrated that maybe Steph Curry shooting threes, or maybe some people know just enough about golf, or maybe they know that story that they can. There's something there to that you have to know just enough. You don't have to be an expert. But you have to know just enough of the context of what's going on,
right?
So that then you can come up with something creative. I think that's something that brands can do a better job of, is seeing where does my product fit? Because again, it has a very real possibility of coming off super cheesy, super inauthentic. But if you know just enough to then tweak it.
And here's the thing. You want to actually get some creatives in a room and you want to say, hey, what are some things happening in the press right now? You can even use AI, just saying, what are the top 10 things that most people in our target market, 40-year-old, females, whatever your target market is, what are they paying attention to? You could have a Monday morning meeting, every Monday morning. And that's going to come back, and it's going to say, well, the new pope.
Yeah.
And you're going to, is there anything that we can do that, because what's happening is there's a giant spotlight being shown on the new pope. Mm-hmm. And what you want to do is actually just push your brand a little bit into that spotlight.
Yep.
Because that's what people are paying attention to. So let's actually, or the wind is blowing in the direction of the new pope. So if we, go that direction, we'll get some of that attention too. That's the philosophy that you want to have. For instance, the Chicago White Sox, we talked about this before. Pope Leo is from Chicago. Mm-hmm. It's where he was born and raised. He spent 20 years in Peru, but was born and raised in Chicago. And they have footage of him from back in the day at a Chicago White Sox game. That was a World Series, is that right?
Yeah,
I don't remember them
when they won the World Series.
But I guess they did.
Yeah.
How fun would it be to actually ask, is God a White Sox? Does this make God a White Sox fan?
Perfect.
Right? And you could just, so it's not just like, hey, happy for Pope Leo, congratulations, Chicago's own. That gets passed up.
Yes, that's right.
But there's a little bit of or you could actually say, if God is a White Sox fan, who's a Cubs fan?
I love that.
And then now you're just going,
yes.
All you got to do is
so
find somebody, just plant somebody at Wrigley Field in a Satan outfit and just have some freaking fun with
this.
That's
true.
But it's that Monday morning meeting where you're dreaming this stuff up.
That's right. Well, and I think some people might be wondering, okay, yeah, it's great they posted that. You guys are talking about the podcast. What did it do for the brand? I was looking at this earlier. There are countless amount of articles that were written by what Nike said.
There you go. So now they're getting
so now they're getting free press from an organic post on X.
By
now they're getting
a little bit
Newsweek, Yahoo Sports, Golf Digest,
winking.
People.com, Sports Illustrated.
But again, it's the provocative, it's the lightly provocative nature of the post.
And you go on the other side, Skechers, and it's all they're bashing them. And it's actually they're kind of playing into the brand of like, that's kind of lame. Those are kind of lame basketball shoes to have. Maybe they're not. But you kind of just...
Is Skechers bringing back the dunk? ? It's a great freaking
I think it's great. I love it.
If you don't communicate clearly, all your emails, your website, social media posts, everything you're communicating will be ignored. Storybrandai is like the world's best communication expert writing it for you. Imagine having the world's best communicator writing your tagline. Just type in the name of your company, answer a few prompts, and voila. Hey, that's a good one. Use it to write your social media posts, website wireframe, emails, lead-generating PDF, product or service descriptions, anything you need for your business. What would happen to your revenue if every word that left your business was crystal clear and worth paying attention to? Storybrandai is your competitive advantage, so you'll say it clearly. Try it right now and let us write your custom tagline for free at Storybrandai. And now back to the show.
Here's another one I'm interested to get your feedback on as a messaging expert. I've heard 2 different ads through podcasts and on television. One for a car commercial, one I can't remember the other brand, but they use this word, car commercial. These are pre-tariff pricing. They're playing off the tariff conversation.
Well, they know the angst. Again, like what are people angsty about?
Yes.
They're holding off on buying a car because they're convinced if it's a Honda or a Toyota or a Mercedes or whatever, that they're going to pay 25% more or 50% more or whatever the tariff is that specific country. It's the angst.
Yeah.
And so they're removing that angst. It's smart.
So would you advise brands on starting with angst first? Kind of figure out.
Well, I would say it's one of the things you want to ask. Like who's getting attention and why? What is our culture angsty about right now? And then how do we actually take advantage of that, move ourselves into that spotlight, or offer to relieve that angst?
Okay.
Like you're just wanting to, you're wanting to say, how do we move in close to this thing that's getting attention?
Yeah. And is there something about having a perspective for the brand to kind of know, kind of what's our voice? How do we do this natively? Is that part of it?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think the real thing is what's getting a ton of attention.
Yeah.
And then how do we actually surf that wave?
Okay, so practically speaking, you said it earlier. It sounds like it's a regular meeting.
Yeah.
Whether that be
it's a regular meeting in which you're trying to diagnose where the jet stream is.
Yeah.
Attention is a jet stream.
Yep.
It's temporary, it shifts, it changes. And then all you want to ask is there any way our brand can fly into that jet stream?
Yep.
Is there any way that we can do that?
Yeah.
And
Attention mining.
If you ask that once a week, there probably is.
Yeah.
Probably at least once a week, there's going to be a chance to do that.
And it's super powerful for brands because those things are being searched. People are looking for that. Those things rise above. And if you can have just a moment, just a little hit of that, they call it attention mining. You can jump into that and just people, your brand is in front of them over and over. We've done that here with this podcast to some degree. We're looking for interesting stories to break them down, but also trying to find relevant information that people are thinking about.
Yep. I think, listen, if you have a product that is solving a problem that another product, for example, is creating.
Interesting.
Like if I had an electric bike motorcycle company,
yeah,
I would make a big deal about sending one to the president of Harley Davidson.
Make a big campaign about it.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yes,
something like that.
Yes,
or if you're, let's say that you're, let's say that you have a company that puts solar panels on your house,
mm-hmm.
right? I would make a big deal about offering the president of British Petroleum a conversion to his house.
Yeah.
Right? Or something that just because your market's environmentalists and they probably don't like that guy, and that's an interesting way to sort of bring attention to your brand.
Yeah.
On and on and on.
Yeah.
You just want to think in that way. What's going to get some attention? And so listen, I would say 1 in 10 are really going to take off for you. The other ones are going to kind of do okay, and maybe 2 or 3 are going to be like, well, that was kind of disappointing. But that's par for the course. That's the way the game works.
I think too, it also underlines the need to continue to be monitoring what's going on, adapting. It's so easy as a business to just kind of stay in your lane, kind of, okay, this is how we do it. We work these hours. I think it comes to, as far as we're talking about attention, there is intention too. You have an intentional move. Like, we want to do this. We're going to make this an active part of what we're doing. I see you do this with your social media. Mm-hmm. You find some different things and, jump in sometimes and talk about them. And sometimes it goes over really well. And sometimes
it doesn't.
Some feedback. But I do think there's a message there that there's ways for brands that can be as big as Nike, who has a great brand, and as small as a company that makes solar panels for houses. But there's a massive lane. I think also too, if I'm listening to this would be encouraging to me to know that no matter what I'm making or what I'm working on or what I'm doing, there's opportunity for me where I don't feel left out. I can use this as an advantage to jump into something with some creativity.
Well, the thing, like, let's be honest, nobody's paying attention to you.
Yes, that's yes.
Nobody's paying attention to
and
you.
I think
most of the people listening
that.
to it's true. Nobody's paying attention, but they're paying attention to something.
Yep.
What are they paying attention to, and how can you associate with what they're paying attention to?
Yep.
You know, here's a strategy that's very, very interesting to me. I've got a good friend, named Mark Sibilia, Scibilia. Mark is pushing 40. He is an extremely talented musician and songwriter. His album Seed of Joy is one of my favorite albums of all time. We probably listened to that 500 times at the house. He has never headlined a show. He's always the supporting guy, or he's had a big hit in Germany of all places. Just that guy. He got really, really smart at this late stage in his career. What he did was he has this incredible studio in his backyard, and it's got like all this musical equipment in it. It's kind of visually really cool looking. And he hired a crew, and I think like almost every day they would do this. He would come in and he would say, okay, here is Where the Streets Have No Name by U2, but it's sung in the style of the Beatles. Now think about what he just did. He took two extremely popular, well-known songs and genres and mixed them together. And he also has a visually interesting way of doing it.
Yes, he does.
Because he'll start with the keyboard, then he'll pick up a guitar, and he's laying down sort of tracks, and he's looping it, and he's going on top of each other. By the end of it, you're just like, holy crap, that's U2 in the style of the Beatles.
That's right.
It sounds amazing. And he blew up to 1 million followers online. And now he is selling out a world tour. And I asked him, he was at the house the other day, I said, how many covers are you doing in the show? He said 3. So he got famous from sort of putting himself in where the attention already was, and then saying, I'm Mark Sibilia, you should also listen to my song.
Yep.
And it worked.
And previously, though great artist, he had a kind of a smaller...
Yeah, he's one of about 500,000 artists in this town who people are ignoring, who's world class.
Yep.
My favorite record right now is a guy named Brian Cates.
Okay, yeah, never heard of him.
It's my favorite record. It's a work of genius. And he's a waiter at Burger Up. That's this town.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's criminal.
Yes, absolutely.
And I just love that Mark didn't hem and haw and gripe about it and complain and play the victim. He went, what are people paying attention to?
But he also brought his artistry in. I think there's something. There's something there.
He played the game, man.
Yeah,
he played the game,
right.
and I wouldn't say he sold out at all. I mean, and now you can't get a ticket. You can't get a ticket to his show. He just announced a 40-city European tour.
Yep.
So that's the sort of strategy that we're talking about.
Yes, if you feel like you're not being paid attention to, which most brands are not, there's a lot of people who are looking for that solution when they need it. They're not paying attention to you on a daily basis. This is a great way to go about it.
Yeah.
A lot of the creators today, there's a couple out there that I'll give as some examples. They are focused on, when they do events, they are focused on one thing and one thing only. They're focused on that one clip. They're focused on that one moment that grabs attention. So if we can learn something from the biggest creators, I think of Jake and Logan Paul. Do you know those guys?
Yeah. Gosh, they talk about know how to get attention.
They talk about this all the time. Recently, I was watching. They put out a show on HBO, kind of following them, and I've been watching it, kind of learning really. And they talk about when he fought Mike Tyson. Jake Paul fought Mike Tyson.
When he let's please put that in quotes. When he fought because I think there were rules like you can't hit each other, don't get within 10 feet. That's how that fight felt to me.
It was, and that was a whole other conversation about Netflix and the disaster that was and them streaming it.
Well, it wasn't a disaster for either of those guys.
No.
It was a disaster for the guy who watched
the streamers.
it.
So, but what's interesting was they were talking about it, and they had a moment right before the fight at the press conference where Mike Tyson slapped him.
Yeah.
That was the and they literally you see them on camera celebrating afterward. We got our moment. That's all we were looking for, was that one moment. There's creators on YouTube right now who I watch, again, golf stuff. They don't care about how they play. They're looking for one moment that grabs people's attention. That's all they care about, because they know they've got you hooked in. There's something to be said about finding that one moment like Nike did, that one moment that Skechers could have found, that one moment for Mark. There are moments for brands out there that if you find that, the amount of lift and uplift to your brand is massive.
Yeah, and you can get good at it. It takes practice, but you can get good at it. Now, let's also say this, Kyle. I think a lot of people, what they fear is pushback.
Yeah.
And I would actually say pushback ain't bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's attention.
It's attention. And, you don't want pushback on the quality of your product. You don't want that. But there's a lot of, political pundits, they make their living by pissing off half the country. And I'm not a fan of that. That's not me personally. But look, if you follow me on Instagram, I've noticed that, I'll post a little bit about narcissism here and there. The actual narcissist can't stand me, right? They don't like me revealing, their games, and so I'm perfectly willing to make that villain, to make that enemy. And I think there's an interesting question here for brands. Another way of getting attention is pick a fight.
Yeah,
pick a fight.
Yep.
Who are you picking a fight with? Yeah, okay. Let me give you an example. Our friend Dave Ramsey.
Yeah,
Dave is one of the most. First of all, Dave is one of the most gentle, kind human beings I've ever met. I mean, that dude he's a grandpa. He's married to just the sweetest woman. But he's smart enough that when they turn the frickin' radio on, he says a thing or two. And by the way, he's also very, very principled, so it's authentic. He's made an enemy out of credit card companies. Right? And credit card companies, by the way, have billions and billions and billions of dollars. That's a terrifying enemy. But he'll take them to court. He'll be like, sue me. Let's go.
Yeah.
And he says, and do you think it's benefited him?
A little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, I think he's making $300 million a year.
Yeah.
Right?
And paying cash for everything.
And he has a stated villain.
Yes.
A stated enemy. He's also very smart. Like, he doesn't burn bridges. He doesn't make enemies for the sake of making enemies. Yeah. They're real enemies.
Yeah.
But I think we can all learn from that as well.
Yep. I think key word in this controlling idea is attention is your friend.
Attention. You know how to get it.
There are ways to go about it. I think there's this idea that this just naturally happens. Like, in the moment, someone just like, let's just make this quick post. I don't agree with that. I think you broke it down. There's a tension in this, and you have to be intentional. You have to set it up.
You have to move yourself into it.
You have to talk about it.
Move yourself into it, create it.
You have to have a talking point. You've been talking about this a lot, sound bites for your brand. You have to know the problem you solve. You have to work through those things. I think one of the things we'd be remiss, there are people who can help you do this. I think we've created a great community of people who are experts in messaging, and that's the Storybrand coaches.
Yep. You can go to marketingmadesimple.com and find a coach, and they're going to help you analyze this. But it's important to get an outside perspective, because we are so close to our 100%. Products and services that we don't even know what's provocative about them.
We actually had a coach come in and help us with something.
Yeah.
And he called it out. He called out the thing that was too close to our face, and he called it out. And it was very valuable for us to go, you're right.
Yeah.
We didn't see that. We did not see that. So there's ways and there's resources out there to do that. So Don, thanks again for joining us. This is another good conversation.
Loved it.
Thanks for listening to the Why That Worked podcast presented by Storybrandai. If you like the show, follow wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're enjoying this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment letting us know what you think and what you want the guys to talk about in a future episode. Curious about how Storybrandai can help you create clear, effective messaging? Well, you can try it out right now and create a free customized tagline for your business. Just go to Storybrandai. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.